Hi, my name is Angel. I'm currently an intern at Greensboro, and this is my summer project. I'm developing a solution to try and combat absenteeism tracking, overtime tracking, and points tracking across all 3 factory sites. So firstly, I'm going to give my project some context and explain how these systems are currently managed. The first thing I wanted to address was the issue of point tracking. So what you're looking at right now is 28 rows of a 4,300 row Excel spreadsheet. Every manager is one of these sheets, and as you can imagine, with the sheer number of employees that every manager has to manage, this is a huge hassle that takes up a lot of time. When points have to be updated, obviously you have to do it manually. If points expire after 6 months, you have to do it manually as well. So this is a huge time commitment for managers. Managers have told me they spend 20 to 30% of their time simply dealing with this. The additional problem is that employees don't actually have access to the information they need. So if an employee wants to know how many points they have to contact their manager, manager has to contact HR, and HR gives this entire spreadsheet after approval back to them. Essentially, it is a long-winded process to know something that you really should be able to access on your phone. So this is where my solution comes in. As we start, on the left-hand side is a website that's designed to be used by managers. Since it's a website, it will work on any device that has browser. This includes your phone. It is fully mobile optimized. You can use it on your iPad, your laptop, or your desktop, etc. On the right-hand side is what employees are supposed to see. So this, for now, is a mobile app that you have an email and password that you can log into as an employee. So to use the website, the security is all there. I can't access any of this unless I have a manager login. So after I sign in as a manager, I automatically see at my header, I have the 4 tabs that I can use to manage 4 separate problems. So to address the problem of points tracking, firstly, under the old system, you had to go through and manually trudge through a spreadsheet to find employee information. Right now, we click view and we can see all the points that a particular employee has acquired over a period of time. The process is really simple. If we want to delete a point, we simply press delete, close it, and the point total is automatically updated. The best part of this is that on the employee side as well, the access to the information they have is updated in real time. So if I log in as an employee, I automatically see that my point total has been reduced from 2 to 1.5. And I also see exactly the date I acquired the point and the reason why I did. So there's no longer disputes between managers and employees as with regards to when I acquired a point or how I got it. It's all there, and it is the same for adding a point. If I ever choose to add a point, it will be updated in real time as well. The second problem I wanted to address was the issue of notice absences. So notice absences in this scenario are mainly focused on emergency absences. So say as an employee, I was sick tonight and I needed to take a sick day off work tomorrow. Current procedure is very, very long-winded, and a lot of people don't actually end up getting a response from the managers. So as an employee, had I wanted to take a day off work tomorrow morning per se, I'd have to call security. Security manually logs all the details of my requested absence, then sends 1 email per absence to managers. As you can imagine, this results in a really, really big email inbox for managers. I've had people quote me 72 emails in the span of 3 hours. Essentially, this means that it's impossible to keep track of all these separate emails. 2 major problems that arise from this. The first one is that absences get lost in translation, and it means that people don't get responses when they need to know about whether they need to go into work tomorrow. The second problem is that referring back to these records is very, very difficult. As you can imagine, the sheer number of emails you get per day means that you don't constantly have lots of emails. Furthermore, emails get cleared every so often, so you really don't have a stable record for these absences. Even after the absence request process is over, we have a further problem with tracking whose absences you've accepted and whose absences you rejected. Right here, we can see 2 examples of spreadsheets currently being used to track the system. On the left, we have 1 shift of 1 day for 1 manager, and 1 manager manages many, many, many shifts per day. On the other side, it's kind of the same theory whereby we have 1 Excel spreadsheet with multiple sheets in it to manage what is only 1 day of actual shifts. The major problem with this is not only is it hard to understand and requires a lot of manual labor, it is that when employees transfer between departments, a lot of this information is lost as well. So getting back to my application and how this will hopefully resolve the problem, I can go to my absences tab as an employee and request a new absence. So say for tomorrow, I wanted to request an absence. I can put in the date, I can put in the shift, and I can put in any additional notes. After I click send, I automatically get a notification that I did in fact send a request. So I'm awaiting approval from the manager. I have all the information I need. I know when I submitted the request to my manager. As a manager, I can go to my absences tab and see all the absence requests from all my employees that I haven't responded to yet. So say I approve this. It's updated in real time on the phone. On your actual phone, you will get a notification, just not on this virtual machine that I'm running right now. The other method which I can view absences by is through a calendar. So since we requested a calendar absence for the 27th, I simply click on the 27th and I can see all the requested absences and overtime information that's relevant to the 27th of July. Here, you can see who hasn't responded, who has responded, and how many people you've accepted per day, which works well with the quota system that people have in place, whereby you can't have more than a certain amount of employees absent per day. The last thing I wanted to address in terms of problems was overtime. So this spreadsheet that you're looking at right here are what some people currently do full-time. How overtime shifts work is that during the weekend, say we have a Sunday shift or a Saturday shift, which is outside of regular working hours, there's a particular list of people that are eligible for overtime, and they're also ranked in terms of priority and in terms of seniority. So there's a very particular list of people. The main problem is that since overtime shifts do have a limit, you have to wait until a certain number of people reply before you can bring the next batch of people in. So what we have to do right now is manually contact, say, the first 3 people, wait till they reply before we can move on to the next set, and so on and so forth. So this is a huge time commitment for managers across plants. This entire system, hopefully, can be replaced by this one page that you're seeing right now. So say I want a new overtime shift on the 29th of July. And since it's the Sunday, I'll put a holiday shift. And I click all 4 employees in order of seniority. After I press submit, it gives me a notification that my request has indeed been submitted to all my employees. And as an employee, I can see this in my overtime openings. So there's 2 methods through which we can do this. We can either record people on a first come, first served basis if they're all the same seniority, or the backend will automatically make it such that the next request is only sent when the first person replies. Once again, I can accept or reject it from my phone. If you go to your calendar and look on the 29th, you can see all the people who have accepted your overtime opening, which means that you can very accurately gauge how many people have signed up, how many people you still need to invite so that you meet your quotas for this shift. Finally, on the iPhone app, there are 2 more additional features that are designed to make employees' lives as easy as possible. The first one is the team feature, which offers you a quick and simple way to contact both your manager and your coworkers. If you decide that you don't want to put your personal phone on here or you want to remove your phone number, you simply go to your profile, edit your personal information, and then save it. So nobody can contact you if you don't want your phone number on there. The last thing is the calendar. So as a calendar for employees, if I drag down, it'll load all my absences and overtimes that I have for this week. If I click on something with blue dots, I can automatically see all the absences and all the overtimes that are relevant to me in this week. So this is essentially a self-updating agenda. You don't have to manually enter your shifts in. You don't have to manually write this down. It's all there for you. In the future, should we have the data available, we can do something with predictions with regards to when absences increase and decrease. So I've had this request from a lot of business people. They want to know when absences rise and when absences fall so that we can hire replacement workers in time. Right now, I don't have the data simply because we don't have records with information such as the exact date and the exact time of submission of the absences. However, to give a proof of concept of how this ID3 algorithm works in the first place, I can show you this graph, which is essentially trying to classify the result of, say, what a drink is according to certain attributes. So the color, the chemical composition, the flavor of the drink, and once you give it a new drink, it can try to predict, okay, this is orange juice or this is wine. So the same concept can be applied to absenteeism management. So once we know what the date is, we can use factors such as the weather, whether it's a Sunday or a Saturday or a Friday, what the actual season is, etc., to be able to predict when absences peak and when absences fall. So that's it for my solution, I hopefully will be able to get this rolling out in the future because I think it's a very effective way to address some of the problems that we've been having at Volvo factories.